Honestly, back in 2003, when I first started teaching Arabic to students, we actually had these books, the Madinah Books. We used them in the curriculum along with teaching Nahu and Sarf and the stories of the prophets. These books were also part of the curriculum. But then very soon, I phased them out. And if you were to ask me back then, why did you not just keep teaching the Madinah Books as well, in addition to everything else you're doing, I wouldn't have been able to give you a concise and detailed reply. But inshallah, in today's video, I'm going to explain to you the exact reasons why that was done and also mention to you why you may consider doing the same. So the Sheikh is highly respected. He's a legend in the teaching Arabic to non-natives area. I mean, he has his whole life dedicated to this, and the books are well structured, and they've benefited a lot of people, and many people have a connection to the books because it is the first book that got them on their path to understanding the Quran and the Sunnah. So they're emotionally attached to it, and if anybody says anything critical about the books, then there's a tendency to become emotional. I understand that, so that's why I'm going to try to be very careful in the way I explain. So if you remember from my previous video, I said not all grammar is created equal. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala engineered into the Arabic language certain elements that make it unique and make it superior and make it different than all the other languages. And if you were to sum that up in a single word, that word would be comprehensiveness. So what that means is that the majority of meanings in Arabic, they don't come from words. They come from vowels and patterns and grammatical structures. So if you had a paragraph of sentences and you needed to translate it into any language, from Arabic to any other language, then you would probably need twice the amount of words, because all the words within that paragraph are giving you meaning, but then there's more meaning that's coming from the structure, and it's coming from the way in which the words are connected together and the patterns. So there's a mechanism that the Arab people have that governs the conveyance of non-word meanings, and this mechanism could be covered and studied, and it could be grasped in an incredibly short period of time. It could be done in like 3 weeks. So what I'm saying is that if a student were to get a bird's eye view of the entire language and how it works, and be able to step back and see that here's Arabic and here's how it's different from English and here's how the meanings are communicated, then all grammar that directly contributes to conveyance of meaning, we call that high impact grammar. And then there's other grammar like a gender agreement, or nouns and adjectives when they're connected together, then there has to be a gender agreement. And also various kinds of pronouns and things of that nature. So those things are also important, but that we call that basic grammar. Okay, so there's a difference between high impact grammar and basic grammar. So these books, what they do is they introduce grammar from the first lesson. And according to the Sheikh's methodology, it's basically applied grammar. So he doesn't spell out that this is a mubtada and this is a khabar, or this is a man'ut and this is a na'at, and he doesn't use that terminology early on, but he brings the structures and he fluctuates them, and he ensures that the student gets the default rules before moving into exceptions and talking about things that are unusual and against what you would expect, you see. And then the verbs, they don't start appearing until further down in the third section. Then he gets into verbs. In the first book, he'll give you dhahaba versus dhahabat, and he'll say that if a male is coming, then it will be dhahaba, went, and if it's a female, then you add an extra ta to the end of it and it becomes dhahabat. And then 2 lessons later, he'll talk about groups of males would be dhahabu, and maybe 2 lessons after that, he'll talk about the females, and if it's a group of females, it will be dhahabna. And it's so these topics are introduced gradually with a large amount of drills and exercises, and the examples that are given are rather simplistic and they're artificial. Okay, what he doesn't do is he doesn't talk about the mawsul and the sila, for example, or he doesn't talk about the feature and function of an and anna. You see, so they're introduced in simple sentences like uridu an, or a'taqidu an, like I want to, or I believe that this is the case, and then you bring the verb, and an is used to introduce nominal sentences, and an is used to introduce verbal sentences. But beyond that, there's no nuanced discussion, and it's never framed as a solution to a problem. And I think this is the biggest thing that you'll take from this video, that when grammar is taught, it needs to be taught as solutions to issues. Like, here's a comprehension issue that there's a lack of is. Like in nominal sentences, the sentence begins with a noun, and then it could get rather lengthy. Nominal sentences could get rather lengthy, like this masjid, which Ishaq alayhi salatu wasalam built in Sham, is Baytul Maqdis. So that's like 10 words. In Arabic, it would be like this: هذا المسجد الذي بناه إسحاق في الشام بيت المقدس. Baytul Maqdis. So with my tonality, you were able to tell that Baytul Maqdis is the second half of the sentence, but there's no actual word there that corresponds to is in English. So how do you tell from where to where is the mubtada, where to where is the khabar? So this is an issue. And if you could solve that and be able to do it effortlessly every single sentence, then this is half of grammar. And when you have a verb followed by multiple isms, then you need to be able to tell which of the nouns is the one doing the verb and which of the nouns is the one upon whom the verb is being done. So these skills, they can't be acquired through simplistic and artificial examples when you're taking the rules and teaching them in isolation. You need to teach them together. And that would work through a real, actual Arabic reading text. So guided reading, like the Stories of the Prophets book. So what we did in those early years is we phased out these Durusul Lughat al-Arabiya books and we replaced it with the Qasasul Nabiyyin, Stories of the Prophets. And I, through my own method or my own knowledge of having studied the language prior, I was able to isolate from the language the core and the central theme and teach that first. So if this appeals to you, and because basic grammar does not empower the student to be able to read actual Arabic. It doesn't. Okay, and the thing is, the recommended time to complete these books is 3 months per book. The Madinah Books series, book 1, book 2, book 3. So that's already 9 months. And it's all basic grammar. So you don't understand how the language works. And you don't understand the issues to which these grammar topics are solutions. So what I do in our method is that we always frame the grammar principle as a solution to a particular problem. So when you understand the problem, then you're able to see how this resolves it. Like the Mosul, for example. Let me give you an example. So 2 sentences. The idols remain quiet because they are rock which does not speak. The idols became quiet because they are rock that does not speak. وسكتت الأصنام لأنها حجارة لا تنطق. وسكتت الأصنام لأنها حجارة لا تنطق. That's one sentence. The other sentence, this is the very well from which people drink during the days of Hajj. وهذه هي البئر التي يشرب منها الناس في الحج. يشرب منها الناس في الحج. So in both of these sentences, there was what in English would be called a relative pronoun. The idols remain quiet because they are rock which does not speak. But if you look at the Arabic, there's no alladhi and there's no allati. So it says hijaratun la tantiqu. So where did the which come from? Okay, and in the other example, this is the very well from which people drink during the days of Hajj. هذه هي البئر التي يشرب منها الناس في الحج. So we have a allati there. And in the hijara example, there's no allati. So why was that done? Okay, so I have a video on this channel that explains about this and talks about how the relative pronouns are used in order to convert the value of the sentences that follow them, which are called sila, and make them definite. Okay, and why would you want to do that? Why would you want to convert the value of a sentence and turn it into definite? Because the default value is indefinite. The default value of sentences, the jumla khabariya in Arabic, is indefinite. So if you line it up with a noun which is also indefinite, then there's already a match. And provided there's a pronoun within the sentence, the two would form a phrase, and you'd have rock which does not speak, which is a phrase. Rock which does not speak. The word rock is mawsuf, and does not speak is a full sentence that's serving as a sifa, and the two together then form the predicate for the anna. لأنها حجارة لا تنطق. Right? And in the other example, al-bi'ru is definite, and yashrabu minha an-nas, the value is indefinite, so we needed to create a match. So allati was brought in between in order to convert the value of the sentence, thus creating a correspondence with the noun being described. So this is Mawsul and Sila. So this is not talked about in the Madinah books. Okay, I give you an example. And this is something that in our premium program we would teach in week 4. I mean within the first month of study. So if you've gone through the 3-hour workshop, you'd be able to appreciate what I just said, right? What I just said there. So on this channel, I have a video that's currently at about 184,000 views, and people are watching the whole 3 hours. And in that video, I've isolated all of this high impact grammar that needs to be taught first. So if you study that and you properly understand it, then you could do these books in 1/10 of the time. So you don't need 3 months per book. Like you can do each book, sit maybe 2-3 times a day, half an hour, and then in the afternoon sit again for half an hour, and then in the evening sit again for half an hour. And within a week, you will have covered this entire book, and you'll know it really, really well. Okay, if you do the 3-hour workshop, and then do this. And then move on to book 2, and you've taken your 9 months, and you've reduced it down to barely a month. So you can get through all 3 Madinah books and know them very well within a month. So the title of this video is that I stopped using the Madinah books. Maybe you should too. I'm not saying ditch them completely. I'm saying cover the select amount of grammar which empowers reading and gives you a bird's eye view of the entire language, and then do the books. And inshallah, you'll save a lot of time if you do that. And I'll link right now to the 3-hour workshop, and you can now proceed and start with that. And I look forward to speaking with you soon. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.